Israel's military has launched an investigation after its soldiers were filmed throwing the bodies of 3 dead Palestinians off a rooftop during a raid in the occupied West Bank. Footage of the incident, filmed in the northern town of Kabatia, near Jenin, then appears to show an Israeli military bulldozer picking up and removing the bodies. The images have sparked widespread outrage. The Israel Defense Forces, IDF, said on Friday that it was a serious incident that did not conform to its values and what was expected of its forces. Local Palestinian officials say at least 7 people were killed by Israeli forces in Kabatia on Thursday. Israel investigates after its soldiers filmed throwing bodies off roof. Social media. A group of soldiers stands on a roof. Social media. Several videos emerged of the incident near Jenin in the occupied West Bank. Israel's military has launched an investigation after its soldiers were filmed throwing the bodies of 3 dead Palestinians off a rooftop during a raid in the occupied West Bank. Footage of the incident, filmed in the northern town of Kabatia, near Jenin, then appears to show an Israeli military bulldozer picking up and removing the bodies. The images have sparked widespread outrage. The Israel Defense Forces, IDF, said on Friday that it was a serious incident that did not conform to its values and what was expected of its forces. Local Palestinian officials say at least 7 people were killed by Israeli forces in Kabatia on Thursday. Under international law, soldiers are obliged to ensure that bodies, including those of enemy fighters, are treated with respect. The IDF said it carried out a counter-terrorism operation in Kabatia, during which 4 militants were killed in an exchange of fire, and 3 others were killed after a drone strike on a car. A journalist in Kabatia told the BBC that on Thursday morning Israeli troops had surrounded a building in town. He described how 4 men who were in the house then escaped to the roof and were shot by snipers. Fighting continued in the town, and when it had subsided, he then said he saw Israeli troops go up to the roof and drop the bodies down over the side, where they were then loaded onto a bulldozer. Asked about the incident shown in the footage, the IDF said, "This is a serious incident that does not conform with our values and the expectations from IDF soldiers. The incident is under review." The military said that one of those killed in Kabatia was Shadi Zakarna, who it identified as being responsible for directing and carrying out attacks in the northern West Bank area. It said he was the head of the terrorist organization in Kabatia but did not specify which group he belonged to. The Palestinian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates in the West Bank described the incident on X, formerly known as Twitter, as a crime, which exposed the brutality of the Israeli army. White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby described the footage as deeply disturbing. If it's proven to be authentic, it clearly would depict abhorrent and egregious behavior by professional soldiers, he told reporters. There has been a spike in violence in the West Bank since Hamas's attack on Israel on 7th October and the ensuing war in Gaza. More than 690 Palestinians have been killed there since then, the Palestinian Health Ministry says, as Israeli forces have intensified their nearly daily search and arrest raids. Israel says it is trying to stem Palestinian attacks in the West Bank and Israel, in which at least 33 Israelis have been killed. In Gaza, more than 41,000 Palestinians have been killed as a result of Israeli military action. According to the Hamas-run Health Ministry, Israel has carried out extensive air strikes on southern Lebanon, saying its warplanes have hit more than 100 Hezbollah rocket launchers and other terrorist sites, including a weapons storage facility. The Israel Defense Forces, IDF, said the launchers were ready to be fired against Israel. It was not immediately clear if there were any casualties. Lebanon's state-run national news agency said Israel carried out at least 52 strikes in the south of the country on Thursday evening. Hezbollah, meanwhile, said it had also launched strikes on military sites in northern Israel. The Israeli air strikes, which lasted more than 2 hours, were some of the most intense of the recent conflict. Israel says 100 Hezbollah rocket launchers hit in Lebanon. Reuters, an Israeli Fighter jet takes off to conduct strikes on Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon. Photo: September 19, 2024 Reuters. An Israeli fighter jet takes off to conduct strikes on Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon. Israel has carried out extensive air strikes on southern Lebanon, saying its warplanes have hit more than 100 Hezbollah rocket launchers and other terrorist sites, including a weapons storage facility. The Israel Defense Forces, IDF, said the launchers were ready to be fired against Israel. It was not immediately clear if there were any casualties. Lebanon's state-run national news agency said Israel carried out at least 52 strikes in the south of the country on Thursday evening. Hezbollah, meanwhile, said it had also launched strikes on military sites in northern Israel. The Israeli air strikes, which lasted more than 2 hours, were some of the most intense of the recent conflict. On Friday morning, Israel lifted orders restricting movement that it had issued on Thursday for communities in the Golan Heights and parts of northern Israel. Its military confirmed. The IDF added it would be carrying out activities in the training areas of northern Israel over the weekend, and that gunshots and explosions might be heard in nearby settlements. Earlier, Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah said deadly explosions earlier in the week crossed all red lines, accusing Israel of what he said represented a declaration of war. Israel has not said it was behind the attacks, which saw pagers and walkie-talkies explode simultaneously across the country on Tuesday and Wednesday, and which Lebanese authorities said killed 37 people and wounded 3,000. Defense Minister Yoav Gallant has said Israel is embarking on a new phase of the war, concentrating more of its efforts on the north. The previously sporadic cross-border fighting escalated on October 8, 2023, the day after the unprecedented attack on Israel by Hamas gunmen from Gaza, when Hezbollah fired at Israeli positions in solidarity with the Palestinians. Since then, hundreds of people, most of them Hezbollah fighters, have been killed in the cross-border fighting, while tens of thousands have also been displaced on both sides of the border. Chief Nursing Officer Hisham Bawadi told the BBC that the medical center where he works in Beirut received a tsunami of patients after the explosions. Most of the injuries were facial, with mainly the eyes, the face affected, the upper extremities, and some injuries on the abdomen, he said. A number of planned surgeries will be taking place over the weekend to be able to cater for the high number of casualties caused by the exploding pagers, he added. Two firms based in Taiwan and Hungary, accused in media reports of manufacturing the pagers, have both denied responsibility, with the Taiwanese government saying that different parts of the pagers were not from Taiwan. The components are low-end IC, integrated circuits, and batteries. I can say with certainty they were not made in Taiwan, Economy Minister Kwa Jyhui said. Bulgaria's state security agency DAWN also said none of the pagers that exploded during Tuesday's bomb attacks in Lebanon were imported to, exported from, or made in Bulgaria, after local media reports said a company there had facilitated the sale of the pagers to Hezbollah. Hezbollah has said it is acting in support of the Palestinian armed group, Hamas. Both are backed by Iran and proscribed as terrorist organizations by Israel, the UK, and other countries. In a statement late on Thursday, the IDF said its warplanes struck approximately 100 launchers and additional terrorist infrastructure sites, consisting of approximately 1,000 barrels that were ready to be used in the immediate future to fire toward Israeli territory. The IDF said on Thursday that its Chief of Staff, Lieutenant Gen Herzi Halevi, had recently completed approval of plans for the northern arena. Gallant later said that, in the new phase of the war, there are significant opportunities but also significant risks. Hezbollah feels that it is being persecuted, and the sequence of military actions will continue. He added, "Our goal is to ensure the safe return of Israel's northern communities to their homes. As time goes by, Hezbollah will pay an increasing price. It is not clear how Israel intends to achieve this goal, but reports earlier this week suggested that the general in charge of the IDF's northern command favored the creation of an Israeli-controlled buffer zone inside southern Lebanon. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken called for restraint on all sides. "We don't want to see any escalatory actions by any party that would make the goal of achieving a ceasefire in Gaza more difficult," he said as he joined European foreign ministers in Paris to discuss the widening crisis. UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy, who was also at the talks in Paris, called for an immediate ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah. "We are all very clear that we want to see a negotiated political settlement so that Israelis can return to their homes in northern Israel and indeed Lebanese to return to their homes," he said.